Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Shubhangi, and I welcome you all to today's Kaleidoscope session. Um, so, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking out the time to join this session. Today, we have with us the Chief Design Officer at Paytm, Mr. Rahul Saini. But before I hand it over to him, I would like to talk a little bit about AND for those of you who do not know about AND. And just for other people, just to talk about the brand a little bit. And is an online design school that was conceptualized back in 2022 on the design pedigree that is Indian Institute of Art and Design. IIAD has been imparting design education for over a decade now. And actually comes from that pedigree, which is IIAD. We offer professional short courses in the domains of graphic design, interior design, and UI UX design. These are mostly part-time courses, which start from 5 months and go up till 14 months. We have one full-time course in graphic design, but other than that, we have part-time courses only. Uh, all of our courses are delivered in a live interactive manner. So imagine a design classroom that you would find in an offline college. And offers that experience just in an online format. So we rely heavily on technology and human support to do that for us. We also optimize for accessibility and convenience because these are courses that are designed for people that are working or are enrolled in full-time courses or have some prior commitments during the day so that they can sort of optimize their time and join these classes in the evening. All of our courses are delivered and designed by people that are working in the industry, so you get very relevant up to date knowledge about what is happening in the design industry, what should help you in terms of making your portfolio, how to apply for what job, what role is relevant, etc., etc., and also what skills are relevant. um, we also focus on design thinking and design process much more than just tools. So you do get to learn tools that are relevant for your domain. So say AutoCAD or Figma or Photoshop or InDesign, whatever tool might be relevant for you. But what is it that you can do with those tools? What will you design with those tools? What is it to think like a designer, to become a designer? So we go beyond your typical learning of tools. We emphasize on the process and the design fundamentals. Um, all of our course curriculum is also woven with multiple projects, which actually then culminate into a portfolio. And while you're working on these projects, you can get one-on-one feedback with your mentors, your peers, other external faculty that sort of come to review your work, etc. And then you finally graduate with a portfolio, and then you can hit the ground running. We also have a lot of faith in the quality of education that we provide. So we offer a job guarantee on few of our courses. Uh, One more interesting thing that we do at AND is offer stackability. So you start from the very basic of a course. So say, for example, a fundamental or a beginner level course like a certificate. And then if you feel like that after your certificate education is over, that you want to sort of continue your learning, you can go ahead and then continue your learning with a diploma or a PG diploma. And that's how you sort of graduate. And fee and your EMIs also work that way. Our aim at ANDAcademy is to make design education accessible, affordable, and industry relevant, and that is what we are trying to do here. We are 3.5 years old, and we have a community of 1,200 plus learners, 50 plus mentors, 200 plus hiring partners, and we're rated 4.6 on Google. So if any of you sort of want to join the course, you can check us out on Google and just leave an inquiry with us. With that, I will sort of move on to what is it that we're doing today. So this is a Kaleidoscope session. So the Kaleidoscope Masterclass series was sort of conceptualized as um, a series where we invite design maestros to sort of share their perspective on design. And today we have with us Rahul Saini who's the Chief Design Officer at Paytm. So this is going to be a conversational webinar where we have some questions for Rahul, and then he will sort of talk about his journey and as a designer and as the Chief Design Officer at Paytm. So to talk a little bit about Rahul, Rahul is the Chief Design Officer at Paytm, one of India's leading digital payments and financial services platform. As part of the core founding team, Rahul has played a pivotal role in shaping Paytm's iconic design language and user experience, building a product ecosystem that serves millions of users across the country. With over 25 years of design experience, Rahul's expertise spans the full breadth of the design world from traditional print and branding to UI UX and digital product design. His deep understanding of both aesthetic sensibility and functional design has made him a key force behind the intuitive, user centric interface that define Paytm today. With that, let's just welcome Rahul.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi, hi. Thank you so much for having me over.
So Rahul, I think because we've spoken a lot about the journey and a lot of what we do at AND is also focused on the journey that a student sort of takes. I want to sort of start from asking you the question that you studied maths honors, which is quite a leap from design. So math to design, how did that transition happen?
Okay, interesting. So I did mathematics in 90s, and that's a time when there were very limited jobs, number one. So you'll know कि उस time तो designers होते ही नहीं थे. I'm sure that everybody's okay with English. I mean Hindi and English. I think the audience should be comfortable with that.
Should be okay, Rahul, but if there is, they'll prompt us and then we'll switch to
Yeah.
English.
Please do let me know. So
Or we
okay.
have already got that it needs to be
Yeah,
English.
so I'll try to keep it in English. In those days, you used to have a very limited number of opportunities in terms of career where you can go career paths. Traditionally, you'll say ki become a doctor, become an engineer, become a CA, become a banker. And new avenues were still opening up. I mean, new things were still opening up, and design was not there in terms of the UI. UX design did not exist, by the way, that time. Uh, I was doing mathematics, so I used to do a lot of programming, I used to do coding and all that. And I used to make some money out of that in my college days. So I kind of drifted into a project, which was a design project, and it was paying good. So I said, I'll give it a shot. I had no idea about design at that time. And I ended up learning, Photoshop and all these tools very quickly and quickly coming up with a design for this company, and they really liked it and they paid me handsomely for that. I was like, this is crazy, man. After doing so much of work on coding, I will make so less money. But doing one project and design, I can make so much of money in my freelance. And I kind of jumped into it, the design side of things that way. Uh, though my family had a little bit of background in arts, my father was a painter, my sister also learned the art, but it was purely art side of things, and that's the way I transitioned into design from the art side of things. So I kind of got into advertising. That was also by, I would say, luck that I happened to get my first proper job after college in in an advertising firm, which was not heard of that time. You have to come from either a College of Art or IM, kind of a platform to be able to join an advertising agency. And it was purely based on the fact that I was too determined uh, to learn design. And I went up to this guy and I said, I want to, work under you in design in the advertising. And this was Lintas, by the way, that time, which was a big agency. And this guy, I called him up. I said, I want to work under you. I have heard there's an opportunity for a junior guy. And he said that come up for an interview at 6 in the morning. So, so I landed at his office 6 in the morning. This is Connaught Place, Delhi. I was there in the Tolstoy house. I knocked on the door. It used to have those shutter doors that time. So the guard was sitting outside sleeping, and I woke him up. I said, "मेरे को, I've been called up for an interview," and he was laughing at me. He said, "Are seriously?" I said, "Yes." I said, "Is it locked?" And nobody's there. He said, "No, no, Saab is inside." And he actually opened the shutter, and I went inside, and this guy was sitting there. He was like half asleep, and he saw me. Said, "Oh, you really here at 6 in the morning?" And the next thing I know, I got the job. I had no portfolio. I had nothing. I just had I just learned something on computer and I made a small disk out of that. And I just took a portfolio on the disk. And I had some sketches which I had done, which were ridiculously bad, that nobody will ever hire me based on that. But this guy said, I see that you are determined to learn something, and I need people who can, really work hard and come up with better things. And I kind of happened to get that job within a matter of few hours. And that's the kind of shift I know which I took from maths. And I want to tell you, that time I had H1B in my hand, where I was supposed to fly to US, do a coding job, and I left all that and took up a job in Lintel, which was paying me $4,000 a month. And leaving a 20K job that time to work on a 4K job was the kind of risk that I took, the kind of bet that I took, because I started loving it so much, loving the basics of design. And that's when mobile phones had just come in, the black and phones had come in. And I was always curious about technology and about how things work and how, the interface was working on the phone. To an extent that I told this guy, I said, I can actually code something on the phone and show it to you. And I actually did prepare his website on a phone, which is on a web browser. And he was like astonished to see, oh, how can you do something on the phone, which is black and white also? So I did something on that, based on which I got a job and I got another offer from a startup which was starting up in mobile tech. And that's how I moved from, pure graphics to a little bit of mobile tech. That's where my journey of interface and starting up, building up interfaces started from. So yeah, it's not purely a shift mathematically. I would say it's kind of an opportunity and the kind of feel that I got from doing one project in design, and I felt that it's something that I would really want to pursue. And when the whole world said that you can't, this is stupid of you to do it because you can be a good programmer. You're just already making 20K per month. Why you want to move to 4K per month job? And but I said, this is something I really like. I think I can really excel well in this. And I just took the leap of faith and I jumped on it. So yeah, that's how the journey started.
Right. And during all of this, was there like a particular moment in your journey, say you were working on some project or something hit you that, you know what, this is what I want to be sort of doing. This is where like design is what I want to be doing.
Yeah, so like when I had the first phone in my hand and I saw the things move in it, I was like, this is something that I want to do. How can I make something for this device? And this is black and white days. This is not even the time when you had, those colorful apps on the phone. This is black and white days when when I started to imagine कि यार इसमें ना कभी TV भी चलेगा, इस पे कभी ये भी चलेगा, things like that. So I think that kind of got me curious, and the fact that I knew a little bit of tech and I kind of was open to experimenting it. I think that just led the way into slowly into how I understood, design, or how I understood problem solving, and how I understood, building apps eventually for the consumers.
So
I'm
you
I'm going
actually,
to I'm going to interrupt Shubhangi. I have a sidestep question on this, Rahul, if you'll allow me. Uh, I just want to take a step back and talk about your job interview at Lintas. Now, today, I'm sure you are hiring a lot of people. And I'm asking this question because I know that there are a whole lot of students in the audience. Are you able to today see that why you were hired as a recruiter? You
Yeah.
can now look back at the younger Rahul and see what he must have exhibited or demonstrated to that gentleman. Would you like to
Yeah.
just because a lot of times I also started my career in the 90s, late 90s itself, and when I see a lot of these students, I see that they seem to be misguided about what a recruiter is looking for. So
Yeah.
I'm just connecting that, and if you could speak about
See,
what do you he liked.
yeah, sure, sure. There are two aspects to it. I think one side of it is about, what would a recruiter, what would a potential hire company look at you? I mean, one is a pure black and white portfolio which you have, which is talking about the degrees that you've taken, the problems that you've solved, which is all on paper. But the most critical or the most important thing that I see in a person is his ability to show up at things at times, when I need him, and the ability to say that, okay, I'm ready to grind myself off to solve this problem. It's not like I'm going to shut down my laptop at 6 o'clock and walk home and say, thank you so much. I've just done my job. This is what my job allows me to do. I think that is something that I really see, still miss in a lot of people. So first thing is showing up. You just need to show up. If you are not showing up for your job, you're not showing up for what you really love, then are you really loving it or not? I mean, you can say, I want to be a great designer. I'm going to be or I want to be a great designer, or I am a great designer. But do you really show up at the times when you're needed? Do you really, struggle for the time and say, "Ki, okay, can deliver something in few hours, I'll take more time or whatever that could be. But the most critical thing is your own ability to tell yourself that I am, meant for this role that I'm taking up. You're not taking up a job, you're taking up a responsibility. Every time I've taken up a job or I've started a company or I've started somewhere else, I've always felt that this is not the job that I'm taking. I'm joining this for a mission and for a vision, or if I'm not aligned to that mission and vision, then I don't work there. I've kind of rejected so many offers in the past purely for this factor that I could not align myself with the concept what they're building, or I couldn't figure out whether I'm the right fit for that guy. I would actually, a lot of time, I'll actually walk off an interview and tell them, I said, please don't hire me because this is not the kind of profile that I would be working happy to work upon. I mean, I would rather help you find the right guy for this. So both sides, the problem is one, there is not enough conviction shown to the student also from the employee side as well, and not enough from the student or the employee to present himself to the fact that I can really build this. I really want to be part of this journey with you. Most time we actually just talk about the job profile. We don't talk about the job journey. I think you just I don't want to hire somebody who's going to be working with me for 3 years or 2 years. I can't waste my time teaching him things. And if fourth year he says, thank you so much, I've learned something, I want to go and make more money. I would actually let you do that after a while because I know that I can't afford you after a certain point in time. If you're doing really well with me, I know that after a certain point I can't afford to keep you. And I would rather let you go and spread yourself a wider, and I don't want to be restricting you in that point in time. But there is a certain amount of time that you need to spend in a job or in a company to really understand how it works, to really understand, to be a part of the whole equation. Maximum time, why do designers are considered like a third function or not even a common function or important function, is because nobody shows up or stands up in a conference room and talks about metrics. They don't talk about the numbers. They don't talk about how it impacts the customer. They are just talking about their design. This is what I've designed. Can you look at my portfolio? This is what I've created. This is the problem that I've solved. But how much needle have you moved? Are you measuring that or not? I mean, a lot of things eventually will be, and you will eventually learn those things. But I think that takes a little bit of time, but perseverance and, persistence, you have to be there. You have to be there, first of all.
And how do you judge that in an applicant? Because this quality that you are talking about, I'm just carrying that conversation forward, Rahul. Uh, I, and I understand that. I think, I mean, when Chirag and I, we are also hiring. We are looking for this. What you're talking about is show up, reliability, grit.
Yeah.
These are things that we are looking for. But if you could throw a little bit of light that how does a recruiter, because ये तो उसमें नहीं दिखता है, portfolio and resume में
There is a
भी
secret to it.
actually
There is a secret to it.
uh,
I don't think I should be revealing that secret to you.
so we will not ask for secrets, but simple
But I
things.
want to tell you something. I think I kind of gave it away in my story itself.
Yeah, I know that. I know, and I hope the students were able to pick on it.
There is a very interesting conversation which happens between me and Vijay. I mean, Vijay is our CEO.
Mm.
And a lot of people are, a lot of, from my team or the parallel teams to me or the product people are like, really, ki, when do you do this with Vijay? So, so I will not usually message Vijay during the day or during the evening time. I will usually message him like 2 o'clock in the night or 3 o'clock in the morning. When I'm awake or when I get up at 5 in the morning, I'll get up and I'll message him. And I know that within 15 minutes, he'll reply me back. And we will have a conversation 6 in the morning. And by 7, we both are done, or by 8, we are done and we are heading to the office.
Yeah.
I think I just want to leave it there, and I think you get that
Yes.
right.
No, absolutely, Rahul. I have once hired somebody who turned up 15 or 20 minutes late for the interview, and I regret that decision my entire and that it was an anomaly in my own hiring this thing. We were just desperate to hire, and so I said कि अच्छा नहीं दिल्ली traffic चलो ले लेते हैं and later when it didn't work out, I knew the mistake that I had made in my hiring. But thank you for that insight, Rahul. Back to you, Shubhangi.
Yes. So, you were earlier talking about problem solving and how you sort of saw that and you enjoyed that process. When you look back now, do you see an overlap between how sort of math trained you to think and how do you approach design? Do you see any correlation or connection in between those two things?
Yeah. So, so I think it's getting too dark. Yeah. So, definitely, I think there's a lot of things which I would not say I kind of found it very easily, but I think they were there and I did not realize it. And when you talk about mathematics and design, if you look at the overall thing about mathematics is about uh, simplifying a complex problem, right? You're trying to eventually, if you're not simplifying the problem, then you can't solve it, right? That's what you do with design as well. And there's a lot of structure, logic, and there's a lot of elegance in mathematics also. If you're a mathematician, you will really love something about mathematics, which is very elegant. And same things about design, right? There's a lot of clarity that you need, a lot of intent that you get involved in. You have a lot of user empathy that is there. So I think I kind of got trained to solve a complex problem in a simpler way. I think I would say it that way. I think that mathematics kind of gave me that. And it's like, can you really see the equation behind the user behavior if I put it mathematically? So eventually trying to find that equation that is helping you solve the user behavior problem, right? And there is no straightforward answer to it. It's like infinite problem. So I think that is the common connect between mathematics and design. But end of the day, if you talk about mathematics and being a senior in leadership in design, you will see that you're always talking about numbers and functions and outcomes, and the growth and the efficiency of the system, and you talk that language, which is actually mathematical, statistical nature. So if you want to become a senior person in the company tomorrow in terms of design, you will need to learn a lot of mathematics by default that way also. So yeah, there is a lot of common.
It's
Yeah.
actually a myth that people think that, I encounter so many students who would come and say that I can't do maths, so I think I can do design. And I'm thinking that, I wish you knew maths because for exactly what you said, Rahul, about the logic, the training of the logical mind, uh, you know.
You will
So
see a lot of engineers also who will actually become designers. And they are very good at designing a lot of parts because they are very structural in nature. They know the logical building. They know how to, tackle a problem and what nature of the problem, how it should be solved. So I actually hired a lot of people who were non-designers because of the same reason. There's a guy who was actually who started with me, who was a interior design, product designer, that interior product designer, the furniture designer kind of a guy. And I hired him, and he was so good at structuring the problems. I was so good at it. I was like, wow, that's great. And then I started looking at different kind of profiles for people to hire. Okay, I have one of my senior designer right now is a botanist.
hmm.
So she doesn't come from a design background.
But she knows how to read patterns.
She knows how to read patterns. See,
Knows how to read.
yeah, there are a lot of things which you'll actually find out in different courses or programs that will actually connect with design, not just mathematics for that matter.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Shubhangi.
Right. Uh, so coming to your role at Paytm, you've been with them from the start. What did design function look like in those early days?
So there was no design team. It was all messy. It was messy. It was scrappy. It was magical because we did not know. We had no prior references to think that we can see कि ये कैसे बनाएं या वो कैसे बनाएं. We were creating something new altogether from scratch. We had no idea about what kind of user behavior will there be, whether digital payments will take off or not, people will understand or not, people will trust or not. I think, but what we really cared about, was the fact that we wanted to build a great product. We wanted to, we were really cared about user experience, and especially in the earlier days, we were very, very particular about how can we simplify this, offline process to make it easier online. Will people understand? Will people trust this, the product or not? I think that was the initial days. Uh, Purely about the design structure, if you were to ask, I had just one designer who was there before me, and he was also doing a lot of, you can say web portals. If you heard of those web portals, those days, Airtel used to run web portals. They used to do a lot of content stuff. So we used to do a lot of content design and content work and all that. So we were not really, really trained app design people with me. I had come from a background which was mix a lot of things. I used to do a lot of app development and app design as well. So I knew kind of few things there. But iPhone had just come out in 2007. Android was just there, I think, that time when we were starting off. So they were fairly newer platform for us to experiment with. We had no Figmas, we had no, tools. We were doing Photoshop, we were doing paper prototypes. We still do paper prototypes, yeah, but we were doing paper prototypes, and we were doing kind of different kind of research. But there was no UX research. There was no term as UX research that time. So we were doing different kind of research, trying to understand how do people behave in the real world. And the first product that we built was actually a mobile recharge. And those days, recharge used to happen with a scratch card. I don't know if you guys know, or there used to be a card you used to go and scratch and get a number and used to dial a number and call a number and do all that. So we were trying to make that simpler. I think the key decision which we took that time in terms of design was how can we make it familiar, yet enhance and evolve the process or the experience for the consumers on phone. So it was like a friendly fintech kind of a service. That was our core kind of decision that we took. ऐसे रखना है उसको. And I think that single philosophy kind of trickled down through that time till today itself. We're still trying the same philosophy.
Rahul, you mentioned about the paper prototypes, and I see that that's something that I see the younger lot not wanting to do. In fact, everybody wants to jump to the swanky looking finished screens, the high fidelity prototype. That's where they want to jump into. Can you just talk why you still swear by the paper prototypes?
Everything has to be on paper first. I mean, I still tell my team, can you just write it on paper, sketch it on paper? Let's just talk it on paper first. Because once you're doing that, it brings a lot of clarity in your mind as exactly what you're doing. It's like you can't just pick up a hammer and a chisel and start, breaking a stone, right? You need to figure out what you need to build first. You need to draw it, vision it, come back to the drawing and say, oh, this is, if I hit it like this, it's not going to work. Like those are the skills that you'll get, how to hit it or not, but you should know how much I have to hit it, that I need to bring this angle out, right? You can't just blindly go into a world कि मैं तो यहाँ से अब धर्म युद्ध लड़ने जा रहा हूँ और मैं महाभारत जीत के आऊंगा. But this is not that era, right? It's not you're not a warrior. And even those guys need a lot of strategy, right? So it's about building a strategy on paper first before you start wasting your time on screen. I would actually sit hardly an hour or two on the screen. Most of the time I'm talking, I'm discussing, I'm just, looking at different things, but not designing. And this is what I tell my team. I said, please don't design all the time. Because the moment you think you're on the screen, you're trying to make something, you are just trying to envision something while you're doing it. And you're wasting your time doing that. You can just, if you can really envision it great on a piece of paper, you've done 80% of your job. But you would have saved yourself at least 4x time. If you can envision it. If you can't envision that, you can't even do it on screen also. That is written, right? You can't even do it. आप क्या सोचोगे? आप क्या बनाओगे? कुछ बना नहीं सकते. If you don't have a vision of where you want to go, it's like, where are you heading to, boss? Look, Jana, just choose the right path first of all. So it's all about finding the right path for your design, trying to figure out different use cases, different scenarios, then coming back to the drawing board and say, oh, maybe I can do it like this, maybe I can do it like that. And I think I would still say to anybody, no matter how much these tools, how much these, new kind of apps come out, which helps you create this process easier, nothing beats paper and pencil. Nothing beats that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure this is there are a whole lot of iterations and a whole lot of rejections that, you throw something out and then you take something in and all of that. Is that part of the design processes at Paytm?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think not only Paytm, everywhere, I think that's the same process. And that's how it should be, right?
So how do you have any practical tips? Because our students and everybody, they keep telling us that nahi, they want to, Rahul, want to come up with the finished acceptable solution the first time their whatever finger touches the trackpad.
Foundation is the most important thing in a product, right? And foundation means, when I say foundation, it's mostly towards UX side of things, right? Even a great UI cannot fix a problem which has been, added by the UX to it. No matter how much you polish it, the user is not going to use that product. The user will only use it if it is functioning really well and you made the process really easier. And that can only be done if you actually fix your foundation first. And you don't fix your foundation by thinking a screen on the screen. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, that's not how somebody, or when people started designing for phone, they did not know कि swipe up करने पे unlock करना है या left करना है या right करना है, right? Because they had something in their hand, they were trying to figure out, what would I do? How would I do it? You have to experience it, feel it. It's like if I were to design something in Paytm today, a new product, what would I do? I still do that, by the way. I tell my team to go out of the office, sit on a kirana shop, sit on a pan shop, talk to these guys, have a smoke. If a guy, have a smoke, talk to this guy, ask him, अच्छा क्या चल रहा है, कैसे पेमेंट आ रही है, how are you taking payment, why are you not taking payment like this, or why are you not doing it like this, and just observe people. So it's practically, if you experience the problem, right, then you can actually solve it better. And that's the same thing, right? You can't just go back to the screen. You have to go back to the drawing board. It's like go back to the drawing board, and drawing board has to be paper and pencil. Because
Absolutely.
people start falling in love with your designs the moment you put it on screen. And the moment you put it on screen, even if you're wrong, you'll say, नहीं नहीं मैं इसी को carry forward करता हूँ. Start building it forward, forward, forward. Then you're not even looking at the gaps or the misses that you've had in that design. Because now you put a step and say, oh, I've taken a step one. Now let me take step two. Let me take step three. But before taking the step one, you need to first make sure that this is the right step that I want to take.
Yeah, so what you're saying is that once it comes on the screen, you tend to commit to it, and then you just, but so long as it is it's a scribble on the paper, the commitment is lower. But that, unfortunately, that's what I think the novice designers today, or the freshers who are starting off, they fear that, Rahul, that नहीं ये तो कुछ गड़बड़ है. If it is not
It's like if I was an entrepreneur today, would I actually start building a company day one, or will I think about it for some time, right? And this is what has happened in the past few sessions also when I was talking to some entrepreneurs or startup guys. I asked them, "This is the first idea that you came up with?" No, this is not the first idea, right? They would have millions of ideas. Even the same idea, they would have taken a different approach to solve. If I gave the same problem to 10 designers, will they come up with the same solution? They'll all come up with a different solution. Did they all start by doing something on the screen? No, they can't. You can't do it. You have to first think in your brain what I want, right? When you're thinking in the brain, the best thing to do is scribble on paper. Again, like you said, don't commit yourself to a design right straight away. Then you are too hell-bound कि अब तो मैं इसी को ठीक करके रहूंगा. Don't do that to yourself. I mean, you're destroying your own career by doing that.
But do you think, Rahul, that a large part of the industry also approaches it like that? I've also come across design teams, and I don't want to call them design leaders. I think you'll understand why I'm refraining from that. But I've seen enough recruiters, enough assessment tasks, which and also job profiles and whatever, the workings of the design teams. So what do you think? Do you think that the industry is also embracing this approach, or in this race, in this fight of hitting, I mean,
It's about people trying to come up with a solution faster, trying
yeah.
to release faster, have better release dates. I think you can get pressure on those times, but you don't do that every day, right? What I'm trying to say is that even if I have a pressure of building something new today, I already have a set of guidelines which I've defined for my product. I may not have to think completely scratch in that context of things, right? I can actually pick up my Figma and start building on it right away because I already defined my components so well. It's like how your company has also figured out the way to make it easier for the designers to, start churning out designs faster. So design systems are better now. You have much flexible component systems that you can build. But again, even those needs a basic level of frameworking, right? You can't just straight away get onto a screen. Even the product designers will come up and give you a wireframe for it and say, "Ye wireframe." Even if it does not give you, he will actually sketch it on paper. Some method he will give it to you. He would put his brain to it कि मेरे को ये सब components चाहिए. And if you already have a component system in your design in your company, then it's easier for you to build it. But if you're a startup, if you're starting from scratch, or if you're doing a freelance, you don't have those flexibilities, right? You don't have the design guidelines or the design pattern set for a certain company right now. You can't just straight away go onto a screen and say, "Okay, let me just," or a lot of designers who I've seen do is go to Dribble, create a mood board, and then start designing. And my team also does it. It's not that they don't do it. They still do it. They still come up and show me a mood board. I'm like, this is all over the place. Why there's so many different kind of mood boards that you're trying to show me? I said there is a theme that we have. We have a vision for the company. We have a kind of a design clarity that we want. Let's just start from there only. Now you see whether your design fits into that or not. If you're building something new, if something radical needs to be done, we can still do that, right? But let's stay in the norms of our design language. You can't just run away from the fact that you are actually handling some work for a company and can just create something new altogether. So I think there is a line between whether you're working with a startup, whether you're doing a freelance, whether you're working for a company that is already established in terms of design. How fast can you churn out to design?
Yeah. I let Shubhangi carry this forward, and I'm sure our participants also, attendees also have questions for you. So, Shubhangi, back to you.
Yes. So, Rahul, you've already spoken about how lot of what you do at Paytm is user focused, but your user base is so diverse. It cuts across languages and geographies and literacy levels. Um, so, what is one design principle that always sort of anchors your approach when designing for such a diverse audience?
I think I talked about it in a very briefly when I was talking about how we started up and what is the kind of core principle that we always follow. I think that's trust, which I mentioned that time also. So in the core of our design is trust. So we design for trust. Our simple definition for design philosophy or principle is put trust at the center of your design. Now, India is a trust deficit market, right? You don't trust anybody in India. और पेटीएम तो बहुत दूर की बात है आजकल तो खैर डिफरेंट हो गया बट सोशल मीडिया की वजह से एंड बिकॉज ऑफ ऑल द different kind of adulterations in the food also that you see. You don't trust anybody for that matter. Even if it is a brand like Amul, you will not trust. You still cut open their paneer and put iodine and test on it, whether it is safe for you to eat or not. So I think whether we are onboarding a farmer or a student in Bangalore, they need to feel secure, right? So for us, that is the core principle, and that should be reflective in our design, in our copy, in our micro copies, in how the app responds, how predictable the UI is. So it's not just about beauty of design for us, actually. It's more about clarity and the control that the user gets by using our product. So, and that's the core principle that we always follow. I mean, इतने diverse अब के अंदर आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते हो, तो सबसे core को ही पकड़ना पड़ेगा. And the core for us is the trust of the platform.
Right. So I think I know I'll answer to my next question, but I'll still go ahead and ask it. But a lot of early career designers struggle with this, which is UX versus UI. Where do you personally place more emphasis? And how do you explain that balance to your team or to your stakeholders?
I think the first thing is that I believe it's a very false debate. And we should not have a UX versus UI debate. It's like a strategy versus expression debate. You can't have a strategy. You need to have both, first of all. Let me just put it very bluntly and very clearly. If you put yourself as a UI designer, sorry. If you put yourself as a UX designer, sorry. You put yourself as a designer, yes, let's talk. I don't want a UX designer. I don't want a UI designer. I would want a person who's great in UI. In a lot of places, yes, I would say I need somebody who's very pixel perfect. But he needs to understand UX also. He can't just go around creating the world of his own, right? So, like I said, if your foundation is not great, if your UX, the foundation is not great, then no matter how much UI you polish, it will not come out, right? It will not fix the problem. You can't just decorate a flow. You need to design it, right? And when you ask you need to design a flow, you need to be UX also, and you need to be UI also. So I would say we should just close this conversation about UI UX across the globe and say there's nothing called UI UX. Everything is called a design. Even when people talk all sort of design forum, they say, "Oh, I designed this thing," or "This is the way I've designed the company." Have they really gone ahead done a UI of the company, done a UX of the company? They actually done a UX of the company, right? You can't put a design towards a UI or the UX that way.
Yeah.
So, and somebody who is good in both is a fantastic designer. So I would, I would coach them to think of the outcome rather than say कि यार मैं यूएक्स की तरफ से सोच रहा हूँ, मैं यूआई की तरफ से सोच रहा हूँ, आप साइंस की तरफ से हो, आप ऐसे नहीं हो सकता, आप एक ही तरफ से हो, आप कस्टमर की तरफ से, आप यूजर की तरफ से हो.
Yeah. Do you think life was better? I've always felt, Rahul, that life was better before the coining of the terms UX and UI.
So हमारे टाइम में तो विजुलाइजर बोलते थे हमें.
Uh,
एजेंसी में वो मेरी डेजिग्नेशन जूनियर विजुलाइजर की थी. आपको विजुलाइज करना है कि आप क्या बनाओगे. So it was much easier that time. Yes, definitely. It's
yeah,
becoming more complex now. Now
yeah, I think,
there is a UX copywriter also, by the way. There is a
yeah,
copywriter and there is a UX copywriter also.
yeah.
It's like no more of all this. We will not have these designations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I often feel, when I studied design, unlike you, I did study design, and I trained as a product designer. Life was very simple. Design methodology was our king and queen and minister and everything. And your aim was user friendly design.
Yeah.
That was the term, that your objective is to have a user friendly product, and a product that takes care of all the stakeholders. If I try and bring it, sometimes I really feel that life was good. Empathy and components and interface, and none of this was part of our life.
So it used to be called GUI by the time that those days, GUI, GUI, graphical user interface. That was we used to call it. And I should write my designation also as a GUI designer.
Anyways, I started off as designing physical
Oh,
objects, product design in that sense. And then I used to do a little bit of graphic design, and then how the two came together. But anyways, I mean, I've often wondered if we have simplified our life or made it more complicated by adding more terminology.
it's
Uh,
just it's just started. Don't worry.
yeah. Shubhangi, back to you, please.
I
It's
see.
like it's like the LGBTQ Q plus होता जा रहा है.
Yeah, yeah,
I
true
see
that.
that our audience are putting in some questions. So I would just like to say that we'll answer the questions at the end of the session systematically, and then we'll take it in the Q&A box. So if you during the session have any questions, you can put it in the Q&A box, but we'll answer them at the end of the session. But yeah, moving on. So going back to the trust and how like users at the center of your design process, storytelling is another thing that seems to be a big part of how Paytm connects with its users, be it through jingles or the sounds or visuals or even product names. How do you think storytelling helps build a brand trust from the inside out?
So I think see storytelling. Everything is about storytelling only. End of the day, whole design is about storytelling. If you look at it, storytelling is something that brings about or it actually builds familiarity with you. It just like connects you with a lot of things. For example, Paytm Karo, because you mentioned the jingle part. What is Paytm Karo? Is it a jingle actually? Do you look at it as a jingle, right? You would obviously look at a jingle because you hear it like a jingle, right? But what is it actually? It's a behavioral nudge, right? जब आप शॉप पे खड़े हो, it's a oh आपने पेमेंट किया, it's a behavioral nudge that you get. Oh, I got, payment has been done. There's a satisfaction, there's a comfort, there's a trust which has happened, in the back of your mind now. So it's that's kind of storytelling only, right? We're trying to tell a story by using that product design aspect of Soundbox here. So it's like, when we get user feedback, when we talk about those journeys from the customer call center or from the CST teams, they also talk about that user's journey of how and what he faced a problem with, right? So eventually, if you look at it, you're trying to solve a problem, which is a story via a story itself. So I would say good storytelling, it's a great UX, right? If you are able to tell a great story in a fantastic way, that's a great UX. It guides your attention, it builds your trust, it builds context. It actually moves people to act. Like when I said the behavioral, that's when people act. Somebody else will also hear it who's not a Paytm user. So, oh, yaar, इसमें Paytm बोलता है जब मैं करता हूँ ऐसे. So it's a brand recall. It's a lot of things connected within that story itself. And when we did our first film, film is the ad film which we did. If you remember, I know long time back, this sound came up actually that time, and people started connecting this sound to payments, and that's how Paytm became what it is today. Because people don't say Paytm payment karo, people say Paytm kar do. It's that story that time when we started off, with that film that we did. That was a story, right? Which we did. Somebody's filling a petrol on the petrol pump, and that girlfriend was hitting him on the head. Somebody's tying a rakhi. Those very human interaction, very human stories that we were talking about, right? So everything around product and consumer product design is all about storytelling itself. And this is actually such an important aspect of design, not just design for business as well, I would say. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to know more about
Before,
story.
but before telling the story, you have to find the story. Unfortunately, what I've seen in this hoda hodi of telling the story, everybody knows that we have to tell a story, but they don't wait to discover their story. Like when I hear you say that for Paytm, the core idea is trust. Now, it is that trust that you are trying to actually communicate through everything, whether it is a feature, whether it is an interface, whether it is the Paytm Karo, is also about the trust, because you're trying to give feedback that, ho gaya, mil gaya payment, ya ho gaya hai. So, but I don't know if that's what we tell our students, that, you first need to figure that out before you start framing a good.
Lot of things which when you teach to students, I'm sure you talk about personas and environments, about the use of a product in a certain environment versus or what kind of behavior will you expect from a customer in a certain environment. I think that's kind of part of a story build up. I think that's what everybody needs to learn from that. Oh, so persona, okay. So if I'm making a product for a blind person, for example, then what kind of environment is he in? What kind of thing is he thinking? What kind of, tactile feedback can I give him? So a lot of things will go into that building up of that story. And like I said, you can't build up the story on the computer. You just sketch it out, right? And when you start writing these aspects of the user, personas of the user, and environments and the behaviors that you can expect, you actually start building up a story yourself. I mean, that's the way to start it, I would say. It's a small way to start it. I mean, there are different ways to start a story building, but this is one of the ways. How businesses does it is similar way, right? They will talk about what do they want to achieve, their vision, their mission, then they drill it down to a certain specifics of their business, which is, adding value to our customers' need, or how it is simplifying somebody's job, right? And that's a story in it. Like a story of Siemens trying to build that machine, that what's it called, the ultrasound machine, that huge one that is there.
The
And
CT scan wala.
it is kind of, yeah, and the people are really scared of going. The kids were especially scared of going inside it. And there's a fantastic story around how they built it, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, there are a lot of other stories. I'm reading this book. I don't know if it's there with me right now. Uh, Very old book called Art of Innovation.
Mhm.
If you get a time, it's by Tom Kelly. So I'm sure you would have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there are a couple of books by that guy, and it's about classic designs, not just new design. So I had this book like since probably early 2000s. I had this book. Abhi recently I found it again and I started reading it again. It talked about the first mouse that they designed and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
machines
That's
that
in
they
very,
out.
yeah.
So if you go back into the history of design, you will figure out how people were building, and eventually you find out, oh, story to hai kisi ke piche. There's a lot of story which is behind every design that you're doing. Otherwise, why are you designing something? I mean, I don't know why you're designing it. Just not just to, otherwise a piece of art, right? If it's not a story, even art has a lot of story behind it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, I mean,
sure. Yes, Shubhangi. Shubhangi, do you want to just move to the audience questions?
I just have a couple more
Yes,
and
yes, sure.
so moving from the user to the business side of things, how do you advocate for long-term UX thinking with non-design people who do not come from a design domain, especially when the pressure or like the focus is on short-term ROI?
That's a very difficult question, by the way. It's like you asking me the trick of how to become a leader that way. Interesting question and very difficult to answer because uh, everybody does not get the same kind of boss. Number one, you need to really be able to convince your boss about. It's like you can't. Number one, see, like when I was talking about mathematics and numbers and all those things, you can't walk into a room, right, with pixels in your hand and saying, "Yeah, I'm going to change the world," right? Pixels don't change the world. Numbers change the world. You need to chase KPIs. All these guys are chasing KPIs. Number one, right? You need to speak their language. How can design create an impact on that? How can it, create a retention, the LTVs or the CSATs or whatever we talk about, those numbers and those acronyms that we talk about. You need to understand those aspects of design, first of all. How does it really impact the growth of a company? End of the day, for a company like ours, lot more users, lot more transactions gonna make our company grow, right? How can the design really create a measurable impact? If you can really talk about that story, then you can really create a kind of a space for yourself within the management team, and you can stay relevant. Number one, it's like when somebody talks about one-click checkouts, design can design this one-click checkout, yeah, and it improved our conversions by X percentage, or how we change the tone of the subject or the language of the subject, and because of change of that word, how did it impact the overall conversion? Because end of the day, business is interested in knowing your numbers. How can we grow numbers? How can we create an impact on that business, right? Obviously, the company's vision is also to create impact, in terms of the product that we're building. So for us, it was a very fine balance between both of them, because one side, Vijay wanted to create a product which was made in India, had a fantastic feel to it. Everybody would, use it. And we used to write, uh, create a dent in the universe. We used to have that poster there in our rooms. And we used to have a small, write up below that used to say, ki, we will bring 500 million Indians on the financial platform. That was our mission. That was our wow. So, so once you align to those visions as a designer, also, you need to figure out what or how is design going to impact those decisions. And once you start taking stand on that and start proving results, everybody really starts to value you. So half of the time I'm sitting in a conversation with the management is not about design ऐसा होना चाहिए, but design ऐसा क्यों होना चाहिए, and how would it make an impact, and how did something that we did in the past create an impact. That is what we measure. So if you really want to be able to sell to your management, you really need to understand all these nuances of business and create even if you don't understand the terminologies like, the KPIs or the retentions and all that stuff, you need to actually show the impact that your design is going to create. And if you can really do that in whatever method you can do, then there's definitely way for you to build up your design team within the company. And to say that, I would say that we've been successful in that because till date, we are still a central function in the company. So we are the only team in the company which is actually completely central that way. So yeah, I think just don't walk into a room, like I said, with a pixel in your hand and expect that I'm going to paint the whole room.
Right.
That is not going to happen. वो movies वाला नहीं होता यहाँ पे कुछ. कि movies में आता है वो और वो उसको मिल जाता है सब कुछ एक बारी में.
So moving from Paytm to back to design again, let's talk about recruiters, recruitment, and building sort of strong designers. What are some technicals or soft skills you believe every young designer should start building from day one? And like, what are the mistakes that you see often designers make, and then people should not make them? Like, they should avoid falling in the trap.
Okay. I mean, different people have different perspectives. Mine is a little different. I would say it's still simpler. I would say be curious, number one, and keep on asking whys of things. If you don't do that, then you're not learning anything. You're not trying to solve a problem. If you don't even understand the problem, like I said, you're not be able to solve it. If you keep asking whys and whys and whys around it, you'll eventually find it why it is happening and why I need to make a change. So that is the most important, and you should be like a child in that case. Obsessively कि why पूछना है मेरे को तो बस और कुछ पूछना ही नहीं है. मतलब मैं मीटिंग में बैठ के why पूछूंगा. And then it's more about, you know, believe that you're not designing a screen, first of all. I mean, you have to design how it behaves when when things change, when data changes, how is my screen going to behave? You know, when the user comes back after 3 weeks, how is going to behave? You know, always try to figure out all the different use cases before you jump onto a design. And that's kind of skill which you will build up over time. And one of very important skill which I feel that a lot of designers miss is the ability to write really well. I mean, no matter what you do, you should just practice writing. I आजकल तो chat GPT is there, so you can really use it really well if you can. And I think that is something which is going to change the way your design is looked at. You know, it's like a lot of time my designers used to put numbers on the screen, you know, like when we're creating a screen which has a mathematical number, you know, you bought the item for so and so discount, so and so, so and so. They'll just put some random numbers there. And I will always scold them. I said, why have you put in random numbers? Put in 100 rupees, show a discount of 5%, minus the 5 rupees, show me actual calculation. That's part of a copywriting thing. But if you even do smaller details like that, your design is completely visible to me right now. Before that, I was jumbled up into the numbers. Oh, this is 100 and this is 50, then why is 60, why is it 70? I've gone to the wrong direction altogether. I'm not even looking at your design right now. So whatever you write, whatever you create, and don't do lorem ipsums. I mean, that is the worst thing that you can do to your design. That means you're not designing, you're trying to put a small template in front of somebody and say, "Ye use kar lena, bas itna hi aata hai mujhe." If you're really, really designing, then you need to know what you're putting on the screen. So start writing, start defining your screen really well, and then just be curious about why am I putting this element there also or not, and start removing things that you don't like. Eventually, you reach a design which is understandable, functional, relevant. You know, so I think that's the kind of skill that any young designer should be looking forward to build.
And what's a mistake you see designers make often that they
I,
should?
I think I kind of mentioned it earlier also that people start to fall in love with the design the moment you put in the first pixel on the screen. You know, it's not a piece of art. Please don't do it. You know, it's never final. Design is never final. Abhi bhi, I don't even compare my Paytm designs to any designer. Even if you're saying you have done a great job, I'll say I've done a crappy job till now because I don't believe that I've done a job. If I have not reached 500 million people, if I've not done that job which I've set out to make, then I've not done it. My mission is not accomplished. It's the worst design that I've done now because people are still not on my platform. So I have to really, really work harder and build something better. So, and I keep telling my screen, I say, great that you've got your screen approved. Can you start working on improving this further? In trust of time, you need to keep versioning it. You can't just keep obsessed over it. You have to make it perfect. That is also important. First, you make a vision, put it on paper, put it on screen, and throw it out on the people. Don't wait to make it the perfect design that you can make. People have a very, very low, you know, I would say, kind of memory towards design that way. There's something which will be stuck in your mind forever, and there will something which you will never remember because there's a pattern, there's a behavior that you will remember. If I ask you to open a Paytm right now and scan a QR code, you can actually do it blindfold, right? And you can test you. I used to test my users like this. I used to give them a new screen. I said, can you just do a scan payment? They used to open, press the scan button and pay. I said, did you see the new icons? It's like, what new icons? I said, did you see the new design? So what new design? Why? Because I asked him to make a payment using scan QR code. He opened the app, he knew where the scan QR button is on his thumb. He pressed that button on his thumb and he scanned it and went away. Nothing changed in his life, right? And I'm obsessed here with the homepage design. इसको ऐसा कर देते हैं, उसको वैसा कर देते हैं, you know, change this icon to more 3D icons now. Yeah, we still do that, but yeah, you know, let's make Ghibli style, illustrations. Yeah, people will remember for a short time, but they will forget about it. But they will remember patterns.
Right.
They will remember the behavior that you've inculcated in them of using payments that way. So whatever product you are building, you're actually not building it for one-time use, right? You're building it for multiple time use. User has to come back to you, reuse it again and again and again and again. Can you make that journey simpler for him? Can you make that easier for him? can you build in things that he, even if he fails, he says, "Chal koi baat nahi, it will happen." You know, it's like why do people trust Amazon so much in spite of it having a very crappy interface, right? I'm
Yeah.
saying it crappy, but yeah, Paytm is also equally crappy, but yeah. But still, why do people still love Amazon? Because people trust it, right? So much. They know if something fails, they will refund my money. They know if somebody's on Amazon, they have checked the retailer very well. Only then they have onboarded him. So a lot of checks and balances have gone into making that product successful, right? And UI is not there, right? If you really ask me, what is the UI there? But they made the one checkout very simpler. They made the things very simpler. So something that you've noticed, but you not realize them. They're back of your mind, they're there, right? So don't do the mistake of saying ki I have to make this or polish this to an extent where people say this is a diamond. Tomorrow people will forget your diamond. People will know that, oh, there was something there and then I should use it like that.
Right, right.
It's
So
the dal roti design, na? You remember the dal roti? वो याद रहता है वो सारे. You don't remember the butter chicken all the time. You remember the dal roti.
When you're hungry, when you're really hungry, say, yeah,
Yeah, dal roti चाहिए. So yeah, get your dal roti in order first. Yeah.
So it's like, for us, when we say all these terms, we say, ki, can your mother use it? Will your mother be able to understand this change? Can she use it? And the answer is still no. There will be a day when she'll be able to use it that conveniently. A lot of mothers are able to do it, but yeah. So I think you really need to be obsessed about building products like that. Designers, what I see today, lack that conviction, lack that feel of, I'm not joining the company to do something, put something on my portfolio. But I have spent 18 years now in this company. I have never thought about my portfolio, by the way, that way. Because if you start thinking about your portfolio, start thinking about, I have to showcase this to somebody, and then people say, wow, you're a good designer. And that's a momentarily happiness that you will get out of it. But when millions of people are using your product and you go out in the street and you hear the sound, the jingle plays, you know that you've done something right. So you should strive to build something which is acknowledged, used by millions of. I mean, advantage for us being Indian is that we have millions of users for us. So why not build something for them, right?
right. I think with that, I can open the floor to the audience to put in their questions. We already have a bunch of them. So Harshita is asking, how can we build creativity?
Shubhangi, I'm just going to interrupt. Sorry. I see the questions. I've read through them. A lot of them are sort of repetitive, and some of them are also something that Rahul has already covered. So if you could just, sort of
Yeah, I'll
club
do.
them and in
Yeah,
the interest of time and not make Rahul repeat what he's already said
sure,
again
sure,
and again.
sure, sure, ma'am, I'll do that. So Harshita is asking, how can we build creativity? Do you have any advice?
Uh, Go for long walks, drink a lot of water, keep your mind free, distraction free, observe things, observe people. I mean, again, depends on what side of product are you in, but yeah, observe a lot of people, see their behaviors. Don't see from the outside, see them from the inside. You'll actually learn a lot more, and that's how you learn behavior. Behavior is not something that you see. Behavior is something that people express when they come across a situation. So you should be able to find things and spark your creativity by just observing people that way. And like I said, go for a walk, because once you go for a walk, you kind of clear up your mind. Don't sit continuously in front of the screens, and drink a lot of water.
So I'll add to it, Rahul, and like if you're in a public place, don't be on your phone
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's the most important thing.
yeah, no, it's so much you can learn about people if you sit in the airport. Like I'm not I always spend a little time in the airport and not on my phone.
Yeah. So my first job, I remember Linta's, I think the second day I was to design a ad for PCRA. PCRA is this organization which does petroleum conservation organization. That was the first job that I got. And this guy, my director says, here's your pencil and sketch pad. Go out, sit in front of the petrol pump and make, what you see. So I remember still it was I think month of April or May, probably, I don't know. Uh, I was sitting in the sun in a small kind of bench, just watching the petrol pump, watching people, move from there. And I went back and I made the first ad. And as luck may have it, my first ad got through.
Yeah.
That was starting off my journey that way. And it was very funny that time. So we were making a ad for PCRA. They were launching their website. No relationship to sitting in front of a petrol pump, right? But I observed one thing. Well, why were people coming there? They were coming there for petrol. That was and the petrol drop was the only thing which I always kept looking at. So I went back, I took a keyboard, I took a picture of a keyboard, I converted the return key into a drop of petrol. And I gave that as launching the PCRA website. I still remember that ad. So I think observation, yeah, you need to be really, really good in observation, people.
There's a beautiful book, by the way. It's called The Art of Noticing.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. If you find your, or if we meet you, we'll get one for you. Uh, yeah, I think it's a great book for nobody wants to start from there, but I think it's a great book for designers or to start from, because it actually talks about that notice what's happening around you.
I think one of the key things which I probably would want to mention is don't go out looking for creativity.
Yeah.
It'll find you if you're in the right place. So
Yeah.
just get yourself in the right place. I mean, you'll find it. It will find you. Don't worry.
Right. Dheeraj is asking you, about your thoughts on the impact of Gen AI on design, specifically how to meaningfully use Gen AI using AI tools as collaborators.
Oh, fantastic question. And not to scare you guys, but Gen A is going to take a lot of our jobs. And if you are not leveraging the power of AI, it will take your job. Let me put it that way. So in my team, I have a mandate. Every project that you start, I need to have a chat GPT conversation of that particular design that you're doing, no matter how small or how big the design is. It could be a small design, like create an icon, or it could be a revamp of a certain screen, or it could be some inputs that you got from the CST or from the product people. You need to evaluate that. Everything, just start throwing it on chat GPT also. Because a lot of times, what we don't use the tools because we fear those tools, right? And that's when you go wrong. That's when you fall prey of somebody else taking over your job, because then you are saying, okay, I can't do anything. Then you're giving up too early. I think the idea is to leverage the power that it can, give to you as a designer also. So that is number one. Number two, not just design, start building up small prototypes using AI tools. And I have taught my team how to build iOS apps using AI tools. तो हम तो डिजाइन बनाते हैं and we create the iOS app also of it, just to see how it works, not just Figma designs, because a lot of times Figma designs don't translate exactly as they should on the app, right? On the dev platform. So we actually started using Gen AI to even code for us, for that matter. And we become better than product manager at times, because now we come up with insights which we don't get otherwise. I'll actually throw a small data on a chat GPT with my screens. I tell it to evaluate it against my competition in the world. It can give me 10 different things which are so beautifully written and described that I can actually use some part of it and come up with something better. So I think, first of all, use Gen AI, use it to enhance your, skills, your competency in terms of deliverables, in terms of time and efficiency, and in terms of, kind of insights that you will bring to the table using that. Don't look at Gen AI tools कि सिर्फ वो graphic बनाने वाले tools होते हैं या illustration या I mean just use other tools also Gen AI, right? So combine all the power of all these tools and you're a better designer.
Right.
They're
Uh,
just they're just tools, like I said. They're not taking your job that way. They're tools.
yep. So Gopinath is asking, how do you handle a conflict between what the user wants and the business goals?
A very good question. So there's a veto power that I have, which I exercise a lot with my business people. The veto power says that I know what the consumer wants. You don't know what the consumer wants, right? And if I can power it with the data that I have and with something that we've done in some other project or experiment, then obviously I top it up with that. If I don't know all of this, then I go with their gut instinct because they know the market better than what I know. So a lot of times I'll just say yes to what they have to say, because if I don't know, if something that is new to me or something that they understand really well, obviously go with their hunch. But I always keep the user in my perspective. If they're asking for something which is following a dark pattern or something not working, I'll always put my 2 cents there. Okay, this is a dark pattern. You should not be doing this. Or this is something that we believe can be done in this way. So I always present to them two things. One is something that you asked for. Two is something that I believe can work better for us. If you want to do A and B, you can go ahead and do A and B. If you trust mine, you can go with mine. If you trust yours, you can go ahead with yours. End of the day, it's their business to run. But for me, it is important to make sure that the sanity of the design is maintained in that case. So it's all about, I think, convincing the business people about why, like I said, why are you building something? And that only comes when you start asking whys. I can't answer to them if I don't know my whys. If I know my whys, then I can always answer to them. So it's not a battle. It's not a fight between them. Prachi, you're on mute.
Do you really think that user and business goals are in conflict? I think it's just different, because if the user is happy, if the customer is happy, that's the business goal.
So what happens, Prachi, a lot of times there are certain business demands which come into play because of because of the certain way the product is constructed.
Hmm.
Oh, and a lot of times things will happen because of compliances also.
Hmm.
So like compliance will say, oh, put all these terms and conditions on first page. And like my half of the screen is covered with terms and conditions, and what should I tell my user to read this and then go ahead and use the product? I said he can't use it that way, right? But there is a mandate. I have to put it that way. So how do you find the right balance between them? How much
Yeah.
can you compress them? How much can show? So a lot of things will come, and different time, different kind of things come into play.
Yeah, but those are always, those kind of conflicts are always there in this thing. I sort of look at it like, even the marketing guys, what is their goal? They also want more customers and more revenue and all of that. I also want, finally, why am I solving the user's problem? Of course, for the user, but I'm also not some philanthropist, no.
Yeah, but true. What happens is, when you're in a stage where you are chasing growth, uh, and especially in our case, when we have so many products to offer, how do I make a certain product discoverable by the user? For example, let me just take for example, insurance for that matter. Let's say we have launched insurance. You come here to make your payment. And like I said, you're used to making payment. You come, you make your payment, you go away. I'm not able to sell you insurance, right? How do I plug in this small widget of insurance in the process of your payment that you give it some notice and say, oh, they're selling payments, insurance also? It might hinder with your experience, right? That's where my design instinct would come and say, "Hey, let's not do this, yeah. This is, causing a conflict in my user flow." But the business will know I need to tell the user because there's no other way for me to tell the user. So how do you solve for that? So there are situations which will come. Again, like I said, depends from company to company, product to product. For us, it's mostly about discoveries of things, discovery of new services.
Mm.
So, I mean, I would probably ask you right now, do you know how many services there are on Paytm? You will probably not know all of them, right? Because they've not been thrown at you.
I'm not a Paytm user.
Yeah. But today,
I'm one of those 50,000 or whatever millions that you want and who are not over there.
so tomorrow you message me and tell me that you will join Paytm now. So my objective is to get you converted to Paytm. What will I have to do to make you?
We'll talk it on when this is not getting recorded.
No, but that's the feedback that I love to hear.
Yeah, sure.
So that's how we do. Otherwise, there's no point, right? I can keep wondering in my own wonderland that though maybe people want this. I'll change that. You want a pink color button, maybe that's what.
No, not that. Anyways, yeah, Shubhangi, let's carry on.
So Gopinath is asking, uh, when building or mentoring design teams across global locations, what are the key things you focus on to ensure alignment with a unified design philosophy that goes beyond logos, colors, or typefaces? How do you guide your teams to embed the brand's purpose or vision into the design and experience of the product itself?
Oh, okay, good question. But I don't have a very large team. I have a team of around 45 people only. It's a very small team. But it's a very good question because even for small team, it's difficult sometimes to inculcate or in terms to teach them the whole psychology and the philosophy of our design. So what we've done in the past is we create some tenets of design. We create some documents. So once somebody is onboarded into a system, they actually read through these documents, which are very small documents. They're like 2 pages. They're not very heavy. They're very beautifully designed, UI wise, and people can easily understand what is written. There are a lot of examples which we have put in there to do this, don't do this, do this, do this, kind of a thing. Plus, we have a very beautiful design system which we have created. So even a new designer, when he comes in, he will not commit mistakes of wrong fonts, wrong colors, wrong patterns, wrong components. So they already have a pattern library, they already have a, components library and the basic design system, the atoms, they already have all those, which is required for them to build a great design. So we kind of groom them into the system that way. They get to work with all my team members. That means all verticals within my team. Let's say there's a vertical which is doing payments, there's a vertical which is doing merchant ecosystem. So they get to work with all the teams. They get to learn how is different team working, how are they interlinked to each other, how is that they're sharing knowledge among themselves. There are a lot of things that we do within the team. So a new user, a new designer will actually get to be part of each one of them slowly and steadily. And I have a rotation system. Like every 6 months or 3 months, I'll figure out somebody needs to be moved around or they are doing something which can be used by some other team. So we kind of keep moving people around here and there also within team. So they get to learn a lot because of that. And other thing is I let my designers and my leads talk directly to business people. They talk directly to the product people. There's no intervention from somebody else. I mean, I don't have to be part of every conversation like that. So they get to learn a lot of things from the product and business people directly. So there is no secondhand information. And I think I mentioned we don't have a kind of hierarchy system in the company. Everyone is designing. So even I'm designing, if I'm working on a certain part of a product, then I'm also on Figma, on the file, changing stuff, making stuff, destroying people's design. I do all that. So because I don't understand a lot of new way Figma is structured, the auto layouts. So I have to break everything and recreate it. So yeah. So you get to be part of every team basically, and you get to be part of every conversation.
Right.
And I do weekly reviews with them. We have learning sessions, so they do all that.
Cool. Akash is asking, I got review for my designs that they are good but lack meaning or design philosophy. But I like to design that way. Uh, but to be a part of this industry, I know that having a design philosophy is a must. So how to apply that while designing?
You're saying that you design a certain thing in a certain way, and that's how you want to design it.
So they're saying that they don't have a design philosophy, but to be part of the industry, you must have a design philosophy. So how to design the
So,
way that they're designing?
industry, you mean a company or a certain?
Must be somebody who's starting off.
Yeah, design philosophy can vary from company to company, from product to product, from project to project. You can have your own philosophy that you want, but if you are part of a company, then you need to be aligned with that company's philosophy, number one. If that company does not have a design philosophy, maybe it is time you bring it, one, and maybe you can become a leader at that. How to apply it? I think you need to first come up with a philosophy of design for that company. I can tell you how we came up with it in a very short, sweet fashion. Like I said, we were new, we did not know where we were coming from, we did not know how we will we go, we did not have any design philosophy, but the core of the things was trust. We started building everything around trust. For that matter, when we did our logo with 2 colors of blue, we actually said that there are 3 colors in it. There's a dark blue, there's a light blue, and there's a transparent or the white, which is always there. So every communication that you see from Paytm, even till date, you will see the 2 ribbons at the bottom, the dark blue, the light blue, and then there's a white which carries the whole message, right? So there is a philosophy behind that also. The dark blue stands for trust, the light blue stands for assurance, and the white stands for transparency. So we kind of came up with a philosophy based on certain things, and that's how we defined our colors also. So you need to come up with a philosophy based on what the product is. Whom are you reaching out to? It's like McDonald's cannot have a serious color because they are fun, they have that character, they have a yellow feel to it. They can't, if you suddenly change the McDonald's color to, some pink color, it will not remain McDonald's anymore, right? The color is so much binded with their whole brand persona and the philosophy, right? So every element that you design actually has to be connected with your product. And like I said, blue used to be connected with banks and with trust, and so that's why we came up with blue that time. So if you don't have a philosophy, build one, figure out, list down all these things, like I said, come up with a thought around it, use ChatGPT if you can, if you want to use it. But I'm sure you can build it.
Okay, cool.
I
So
hope it answers your question. I don't know. I mean, if there's something that you expected me to answer, but in case there is, let me know.
So Prasant is asking, can you talk a little bit about trending designs? There are a lot of content creators and content creation channels that keep saying that this will help make our designs better, but do you think is it for the good or is it for worse? And then there are these keywords or design trends like maximalism and minimalism, and what do you think about those trends?
I honestly, I don't watch that much of content channels and all that. So I don't know if I'll be able to answer it correctly or not. But what I'm going to tell you is that uh, I stay relevant by watching or by listening to or reading to content that is relevant to me. Uh, any kind of design trend can come and can go. It's like fashion trends, right? They come and they go. So trend will come and trends will go. Uh, if you are really, really focused on building a great product, like I said, fix your foundation first. If you can fix your foundation, no matter what kind of face you put on top of it, there will be certain likes, there will be certain dislikers for it. If you are reaching out to a larger audience like ours, try to keep it neutral. If you are trying to be very specific with a certain kind of audience, then you have to make it or trend it towards that kind of an audience. You can't just say that I'm going to design it like this because there's a new trend. I mean, apps are not meant for that kind of a function, right? Apps are not fashion, basically. Apps are, especially utility apps, are not meant for that. Maybe there are certain kind of apps which are for that, like, or the trends which come, I would say, like, the Instagrams and the TikToks that came, they had a certain kind of a behavioral change in the way you were consuming content. If you're talking about those kind of trends, and maybe if you are in the same domain, they can make sense to you. But if you are in the same domain, you're trying to make something, always go with what is existent, what people are used to, what people are familiar with, so that they can come onto your platform first. And then you try and innovate. Unless you're Steve Jobs and you think that I can spend money and I can create my own product and people start living it, and yeah, go ahead and do it. You can definitely do that as well.
Yeah, fair. Shilpa is asking, are you taking any steps to design for people who have special needs, to sort of make them your audience on Paytm?
Uh, Not 100%, no. We have a guideline on the accessibility part. We have to follow those. They are part of our compliance as well. So it's not only just purely design, but also compliance that we have to do things. So there is certain aspect of product design that we have to do, keeping in mind that part, which is mostly around, colors, contrast, and the tones and the alt text and all that kind of thing. But not specially for special needs. And we don't have a design philosophy yet for them. Maybe in future if we have to. We're not able to solve the localization problem yet. People, in spite of giving so many languages, people don't even switch the language of their phones to the language that they're comfortable with. I don't know how will I, make somebody else use the app that way. So maybe not yet.
Right. So somebody's asking any blogs or resources or books or podcasts to read, listen to keep your creative juices flowing on a daily basis.
Honestly, I don't get that much time to go through that many blogs. I do try to stick to x.com, the Twitter, at times, and I don't even get much design inspiration from there, by the way. So it's more to keep myself busy at time. Uh, I used to go to certain websites earlier. Those websites that used to be like award website was there and all those, but I've kind of stopped going there as well now, so I don't have time. I do read some books. I do pick up something here and there, but they're very old time books. I don't really go ahead and pick up new design books. I have a few books which are like the the new Hooked book, which was there, which I started reading. I just picked up this very old book. I'll just show it to you guys. It's called The Craft of Copywriting. It's a very interesting book. It's a very, very old book. It's a very old book. I don't think it will be available in the libraries here also or not. I think this is, I don't know, it's really old. 97, it was 1997 ki book. So it really asked me about trends. Yeah, I'll definitely know what iOS is up to. I'll definitely know what Android material design is up to. That's relevant to me. And I'd like to keep my design very close to these kind of platform iOSs, because I believe the first interaction that anybody has with design is the iOS that they install on the phone. When they switch on their phone, the first interaction that they have design with the design or the internet is through the phone, and they get used to that pattern, right? You used to pick up a call certain way. Used to changing the volume or changing the contrast, or change the fonts, going to settings in a certain way on your phone. And I try and keep that in mind when I design. So if I don't have an answer to a design, I'll usually say fall to the native. And when I say fall to the native, it means go back to material design or go to iOS guidelines. Don't reinvent something that they've already done.
Right. I think with that, we've reached the last question, which is my question. I like to keep the last question for myself, which is basically, if you were to redesign anything that could be as small as a safety pin and as big as the Delhi Metro railway system, what would you redesign?
Oh, very difficult question. What will I don't know. I've been so much busy redesigning Paytm all the time.
I was just thinking that you would probably say that, let me first finish designing Paytm before I can redesign anything else.
No, so a lot of things do come into mind at times. A lot of I'm kind of obsessed with certain medical devices that I feel I should be redesigning. And one of them nowadays is the CGM meter that people stick on their. I used it for some time. It's very good too, but I felt there could be a easier way of doing it, right? Without making it stick to your arm all the time and feeling itchy about it. It is such a good tool, but I just saw a new product come out today. They've been working for a long time. India, EVIA or something they've called. It's a Bangalore-based company. They don't have a needle in it. They just put your thumbs on it and tells you, oh, zoom it.
This is Zoom's AI, Rahul. It picks up all these
Gestures.
gestures.
So probably medical devices if I were to, and the CGM probably.
Sure.
That's
Um,
something I have to do.
Thank you for doing this, Rahul. I think we've reached the end of the session. We've answered most of the questions. We've run out of time. We've overshot it. But thank you for doing this for us. Thank you to all the attendees who've stayed around till the end of this session. Thank you so much. I hope you really enjoyed this session. Prachi, Chirag, do you want to sort of weigh in and say anything?
I just wanted to say that, Rahul, it has been so refreshing to hear these. I don't think these are old school because I think they're still relevant. But
Don't put the color of my beard.
no, no, don't worry. You can. मेरे भी है. I don't have a beard, but वही है. We are the kids of the 90s. No, but it has been extremely refreshing to hear that these values and these approaches and the simplicity behind those are still hold true in the so-called big bad corporate world as well. So thank you for that. At least for me, it's refreshing to know that these values and these approaches are still relevant in the chatter that surrounds us. Thank you so
And
much.
Rahul,
Oh,
I wanted to jump in and add a really heartfelt thanks for doing this. We know how quickly this is materialized between you and me. It's been really really kind of you to say yes. And you're clearly a bit of a legend at what you do, but you wear it extremely lightly.
call
Uh,
me all that. I'm
so
still.
it's
I'm
it's it, No, and so
So
many
many.
things you said really resonated with me. I'll pick those up with you over beer sometime. The incessantly asking why, getting my mother to use Paytm. I'm an obsessive Paytm user, and my mother, I've trained her 15 times, and every time she asks me to train her again. So yeah, lots to catch up on over a beer someday, maybe.
Take some, yeah, true. Take some inputs from you.
No, thank you so much for doing this, Rahul. It's
Chirag,
lovely to
thank
have
you.
you with us.
Pachi,
Thank
thank you
thank
guys.
Hi.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Good night. Good
Thanks
night.
a lot, Rahul. Good night.